Hello, I'm Don Mitchell. Welcome back to Business Basics, the book that helps you become a great leader who helps your for-profit or nonprofit organization accomplish at least 8,000 times more in terms of serving customers and or beneficiaries and other stakeholders. Today we'll be continuing and looking at ways to cut costs, the third part of the book, and we'll be examining lesson 26, which continues with the major themes of lesson 25. This lesson is entitled Cut Prices and Add Benefits for Chain Reaction 2000% Solutions. As always, let me begin by quoting from the Bible, in this case, the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 26 in the New King James Version. Look at the birds of the air, for they neither sow nor reap, nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not more valuable than they? This lesson examines two catalysts, cutting prices and adding benefits for stimulating chain reaction exponential solutions as defined and described in lessons 24 and 25 for creating and implementing 96% cost reductions very quickly for your organization and all stakeholders. Let's start with price cutting. Consider long distance telephone charges as an example. If there were no charges for this service, most people would spend a lot more time on the telephone. How do we know that? A number of long distance providers over the internet have sliced their prices to zero if you speak with another subscriber. Measure how much talking these subscribers do for free, and you'll be impressed. For instance, I met a New Zealand man who has increased his international calling by about 8 hours a day. With many people in the world not calling yet at all, you can imagine what the impact would be if everyone else had access to equipment and services that made such calls available for free as well. Let's next study recorded music. Until the internet came along, many people made low-cost copies of music by duplicating cassette tapes and CDs owned by their friends. With the internet, it became technically possible to download music for free from anyone in the world who had any type of copy. Naturally, the record companies and recording artists didn't like this capability, and they fought back. A few providers, such as Apple iTunes, offered low-priced downloads for those who wanted legal copies. The result was that the amount of music the average person plays has never been nearly as great. Yet there are many other places where cutting the price down to zero probably wouldn't increase the consumption all that much. Portable toilets are probably an example. Many females don't like to use them, and the facilities are often only marginally more convenient for males than more primitive alternatives. If you have any reasonably sanitary, discreet way to eliminate human waste, buying or renting portable toilets isn't going to be seen as all that attractive unless how expensive it is, no matter how inexpensive it is to do so. It's important to determine how price elastic a given offering is. What I mean by price elasticity is by how much consumption increases when price declines. For example, providers of price elastic offerings might see real volume expand by 25% each time the price dropped by 10%. Those who provide a price sensitive offering might instead see real volume expand by only price insensitive offering, might instead see real volume expand by only 3% every time the price dropped by 10%. As you can imagine, the strategic opportunity for chain reaction exponential cost solutions is far better for highly price elastic offerings. But there's another factor you have to consider: by how much cost decline with increased volumes. Sometimes an offering is tied to a high fixed cost base, but the incremental cost to deliver more offerings are small. An online newsletter is an example. Writing, preparing, and marketing the newsletter account for almost all costs. Once the marketing costs to acquire a subscriber are paid, adding one more subscriber is almost free. When incremental costs to add a customer are quite low, average costs will decline rapidly with increased usage. As a result, when the demand is price elastic enough, it can make sense to price relative to the incremental cost rather than to the average cost. What should you be looking for? A chain reaction exponential cost solution can be profitably triggered by price declines whenever average unit costs decline with lower prices faster than prices are reduced. When that happens, a substantial business is easily developed. Naturally, this circumstance doesn't occur very often. pointing out the need for entrepreneurs to seek to provide just the right offerings in the most price-elastic industries in order to grasp the full potential for strategic growth. Still, another factor plays an important role here: competitors' costs. In weak pricing environments, companies often price relative to their incremental rather than their average costs, even when demand won't be increased very much. If competitors' incremental costs are higher than yours, they will continually lose customers to you when you price below what they can afford to charge. When that competitive circumstance occurs, you can grow a lot solely through increasing your market share, even without much industry price sensitivity. A proprietary business model helps for creating such advantageous competitive opportunities. Let's look at Paychex, the small business payroll service provider. Before Paychex developed a lower cost way to process small employer payrolls, such employers were typically paying 10 to 100 times as much for the total payroll processing cost plus the fines and interest charges they received from governments for errors in payroll tax reports and payments. Because its competitors were not able to duplicate its business model and demand for its offering is very price elastic, Paychex rapidly grew revenues to more than $1 billion with very high profit margin. Costs for payroll processing are very fixed cost intensive. The incremental cost of adding one more employee to an account is quite small. Once you have an employer's payroll records, it's also much cheaper to provide related services such as pension fund record keeping, for which high prices are charged by those who lack this source of cost advantage. I hope you can see from the Paychex example that the wisest entrepreneurs will choose a market to develop after assessing the strategic potentials of many attractive markets rather than simply providing offerings for an existing or randomly chosen business. Let's focus next on adding benefits that make an offering instantly worth at least 20 times more to all stakeholders. Before examining this opportunity, let me emphasize the obvious. You can also use combinations of lower prices and adding more benefits to instantly expand the net value to all stakeholders by 20 times. A chain reaction exponential cost solution can be profitably triggered by benefit expansions that require little or no cost and generate more than a 20 times increase in the value gained by stakeholders, either through increasing their incomes or reducing their costs, or a combination thereof. Adding such widespread benefits is easiest to accomplish by also increasing benefits for using some resource or activity that affects everyone. Energy is a good example. Gasoline to propel vehicles is the biggest discretionary use for oil. If you create a solar-powered vehicle with low enough costs, which might be quite viable in areas with a lot of direct sun, such as in the Middle East and North Africa, you should be able to reduce the cost to propel such a vehicle by 96% compared to a comparable conventionally fueled one. Let's look at the logic behind my observation. General Motors designed an electric car, the Chevrolet Volt, which the automaker estimates will cruise around town between charges about 8% of the cost of a conventionally gasoline-powered car. The Volt gets its electricity from being plugged into an outlet, stores enough energy to travel up to 40 miles, and can supplement its range by using a gasoline engine that delivers about 3 times the mileage of a conventional gas-powered car. If the car were to be redesigned to use electricity from solar panels on its roof, hood, trunk, and sides, and on the buildings where it's parked, the cost per mile would mostly be determined by the cost of the solar panels. It's probably safe to assume that if produced in large quantities, such a car would operate around town with an energy cost of less than 3% of what a normal car does. Because the sum be recharging the vehicle during the day, the driving range between charges would also be much increased. The cost-inducing effects of such a vehicle are broader than that. When one driver decreases gasoline consumption, the overall demand for gasoline and oil falls. With enough such cars being driven rather than conventional vehicles, you reduce the price that other drivers pay for gasoline as well as what homeowners pay for heating oil. When gasoline and oil prices are lower, fuels that compete with petroleum will also decline in price, such as natural gas for heating and coal for generating electricity. The net effect for reducing stakeholders' costs could be much more than the cost of such a vehicle. How's that for a chain reaction 2,000% cost-cutting solution? Here's another example. Many plants, such as corn and cotton, require lots of expensive fertilizer to replenish the soil's fertility, or their yields will be low. If you can deliver a new bacteria strain that enriches the soil without requiring any fertilizer, such as by fixing more nitrogen from the atmosphere, you could permanently enrich a field's production through one expenditure. Done properly, this approach could reduce the soil-related cost of producing crops while opening up relatively infertile land for cultivation. Use this bacteria strain to help grow any crop, and the price of such a crop will come down quite a bit, while the yield will rise even more than the crop's price will decline. The price of other crops that could be grown on the same land will also come down to reflect the higher profitability of this way to grow a given crop. The ripple effects will proceed throughout the world so that more crops will be available, prices will be lower, more people will be well fed and have nice clothing, and other uses of the crops will become more profitable as well. Making such a change boosts the standard of living for billions of people in ways that also increase their brain power, such as by providing better nutrition for children and nursing mothers, and economic choices by making them better able to benefit from education. Again, the multiplier effects on benefits probably greatly exceed the value of the crops themselves, as well as the cost of the bacteria. Let's look next at a service, in this case, education. Traditional education has emphasized teaching specific skills such as reading, writing, arithmetic, etc., separate from applications such as earning a living, starting a business, servicing and repairing a car, building and maintaining a home, etc. The often unspoken assumption is that people receive education well into their 20s, so there's plenty of time to teach people everything they can benefit from learning. Unfortunately, this assumption isn't a very good one. The bulk of the people in the world don't receive very much formal education. What if we made a simple change? Combine teaching specific skills with teaching the most valuable applications of such skills. This unified teaching approach could mean finding out how to fix a water pump in arid regions where farming is important during the second or third grade, while learning to read better and to perform simple arithmetic related to the task. By sixth grade, a leader could study the most advanced practices for being a farmer or starting or successfully operating a farming-related business, while expanding vocabulary and reading comprehension, adding skill in solving written math problems. As a result, a government or a private school might spend a little more money on developing and acquiring more useful curricula and learning materials, but the result would be enabling people to earn 50 to 100 times more at a young age. Consequently, the cost of educating learners would drop compared to their incomes. Learners would be able to afford much more education, create an income expansion cycle. Such higher income people would be able to spend that much more, and the world's economy would be much larger. Income for everyone would be much higher, totaling millions of times the cost of developing and acquiring the new curricula and learning materials. As you can see, when we focus on benefit areas that greatly affect virtually everyone in the world, either directly or indirectly, fast chain reaction benefits follow. As you consider an area to work on for your business, concentrate on wide impact opportunities that can deliver such vast, widespread, and immediate breakthroughs. What's the key learnings from the pricing aspect of this lesson? You can use the combination of high price elasticity, even greater cost sensitivity to volume increases, and advantage compared to competitors' costs and proprietary business models to employ lower pricing that drives chain reaction 2,000% cost reduction solutions that can almost instantly reduce your costs by 96% as well in serving each individual customer or beneficiary, as well as those of your stakeholders where they believe they will gain the most profit, cash flow, and benefits. What's the key learning from the benefit expansion aspect of this lesson? You can use broad impact benefit breakthroughs to create chain reaction 2,000% cost reduction solutions that will almost instantly expand your profits by 20 times, reducing costs by more than 96%, by increasing social benefits more than 20 times of what you will be spending for stakeholders where they believe they will gain the most profit, cash flow, and benefits. So your assignments are four. First, what are the characteristics of your current offerings in terms of price elasticity, cost sensitivity to increased volume, cost compared to competitors, and having proprietary cost advantages through your business model? Second, what offerings could you provide that would gain more growth and cost reductions from price reductions? Third, what potential do your current offerings provide in terms of the opportunity to expand benefits by 20 times in ways that will immediately translate to huge social cost reductions and benefit gains? Fourth, what offerings could you provide that would have more potential in terms of such social benefits? So I hope you find this lesson as exciting and encouraging as I am. It's one of my very favorite lessons in the 400-year project series, and I hope it'll be a great blessing to you. So until we speak again as we go on to the next lesson, may God bless you, your family, and all you do. In the name of Jesus. Goodbye for now. Take care.